The perversion of language is only eclipsed by the left's sexual perversion. They have said loving your country and God is bad, calling it Christian nationalism. They call the actions of protesting government an insurrection, excusing their own side when they do the very same thing. They've also called riots insurrection, excusing their own side when they do the very same thing. And they are doing the same thing to the word populism. Perversion, the only thing the left wing is good for. That's my focus in today's preamble. The press has been ignoring a recent visit to Oxford by Nancy Pelosi. While there, Pelosi and the UK elite tried to convince those in attendance that the majority of people opposing the elitists, are evil. The left, in and out of the press, have demonized populism after the people rejected the elite's hoarding of wealth, draconian crackdowns, and left-wing authoritarianism. A British musician got the privilege of calling out Nancy Pelosi to her face, a privilege that we conservatives never get because Democrats and their GOP ilk have lost the ability to debate and can't allow us to ask the questions that they don't want to answer, questions from a freedom, liberty, and constitutional conservative standpoint. Here's how this British musician started things off.
Populism has become a word used synonymously with racist, we've heard ethno-nationalist, with bigot, with hillbilly, redneck, with deplorables. Elites use it to show their contempt for ordinary people. This is a recent change. Not long ago, Barack Obama, while still president at the North America's Leaders Summit in June 2016, he took umbrage with the notion that Trump be called a populist. How could Trump be called a populist? He doesn't care about working people. If anything, Obama argued he was the populist.
First, Obama, as he often is, was wrong. He didn't know the difference between popular and populist. He soon found out the difference, though. As Americans got a snoot full of his anti-American policies, soon the populists began to erode Obama's popularity, as it was clear that Obama was an anti-American apparatchik dedicated to the fall of Western civilization. And that's when Obama's soaring rhetoric changed.
Something curious happens. If you watch Obama's speeches after that point, more and more recently, he uses the word populist interchangeably with strongman, with authoritarian. The word changes meaning. It becomes a negative, a pejorative, a slur.
And the left wing in America and the biased press follow suit. They actually depict populism, which by definition is the consensus of the overwhelming majority. The leftists who bastardize language now say that populism is the same as dictator, the same as despot or totalitarian, and they do this to demoralize and demonize the masses who have turned against their elitist rule.
If the motion was that demagoguery was a threat to democracy, I would be on that side of the House. If the motion was that political violence was a threat to democracy, I'd be on that side of the House. January 6th has been mentioned. A dark day for America indeed. And I'm sure Congresswoman Pelosi will agree that the entire month of June 2020, when the federal courthouse in Portland, Oregon was under siege and under insurrection by radical progressives, those too were dark days for America. And if we were arguing that fascism was a threat to democracy, I'd be on that side of the House. Indeed, the current populist age is a movement against fascism.
Well, indeed, he's right. The multinational corporations, they collude with big government apparatchiks in an effort to enslave entire populations to fill the pockets of those least deserving. Fascism, by any other name. And the left-wingers in government and in the press see their cushy meal tickets melting away under the populist pressure from an oppressed population that no longer wishes to work for the benefit of elites, who now in turn show they are willing to sacrifice our lives to keep themselves awash in luxury and comfort. The massive illegal alien crises are proof of the collective Democrat-Republican agenda, as the Democrats have set the nation ablaze. The GOP complains a lot, never doing anything that has stopped one, not even one illegal alien from busting into our country over the last 3.5 years. That's just one example of how the world's elites are making their move. And more people, more and more of our people, are seeing these elitists for what they are.
The real threat to democracy is from the elites. Now, don't get me wrong, we need elites. If President Biden has shown us anything, we need someone to run the countries. When the president has severe dementia, it's not just America that crumbles, the whole world burns. But let's examine the elites. European corporations spend over 1 billion euros a year lobbying Brussels. US corporations spend over $2 billion a year lobbying in DC. 2/3 of Congress receive funding from pharmaceutical companies. Pfizer alone spent $11 million in 2021. They made over $10 billion in profit. No wonder then that 66% of Americans think the economy is rigged against them for the rich and the powerful.
And what of the left-wing allies in the press? Here's what they say when the populace objects to being harmed by our big government elites. Here's what they say when we, the people, elect leaders like President Trump to deliver us from left-wing tyranny.
Let me read you some mainstream media headlines. The New Yorker, the day before the 2016 election. The case against democracy. The Washington Post, the day after the election. The problem with our government is democracy. The LA Times, June 2017. The British election is a reminder of the perils of too much democracy. Vox, June 2017. The two eminent political scientists say the problem with democracy is voters. New York Times, June 2017. The problem with participatory democracy is the participants.
So according to our esteemed members of the left-wing press, we are only a worthy people so long as we choose to supplant our own best interests in service to elitists. There's a word for that. Slavery. So the next time you find yourself wondering why President Trump has earned the collective ire of the GOP and Democrat elites, you'll know why. The next time you wonder why President Trump is forced to endure unfair, corrupt, and absurd lawfare, you'll know why. It's the elitists taking out one of the few remaining obstacles to their rule, a man who doesn't believe populism is a dirty word.